we buy for Webb. We seam it all together in small pieces, and then we actually coat it with special coatings to give it the what we call the thermal properties we need in orbit. So this one has a nice pink or purplish kind of hue to it, and the reason it's purplish in hue, we use this on the sun side, and we actually put
good morning, everybody, and welcome
on
to
this
the webcast for the James Webb Space Telescope launch from Kourou in French Guiana aboard an Ariane 5 rocket. It is very early, so please forgive me for any sleepiness I may have. It is currently 4:34 a.m. where I am sitting in Kourou. I believe it is currently about actually, I don't know what the time zone is in Kourou. Just give me a moment. It's currently 8:34 a.m. in Kourou. They will be launching the telescope at 9:20 a.m. Or that is the beginning of the launch window anyway. Their launch window this morning is approximately 32 minutes long. I'm just doing a quick announcement over on Relay to announce that we are live.
And it's the separation of those 5 layers which lets heat energy escape out to space before it eventually gets to this cold layer. Again,
so I'm just going to watch along here. I will interject whenever I have a comment. Thank you very much for coming to watch with me. It's going to be an interesting day. Obviously, we've been waiting 25 years for this launch since the beginning of the James Webb project. It will truly be an incredible science mission if it is successful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hey, Sargarath, good morning. Or good evening or good night. I can't remember where you are. Yeah, thank you for joining me.
Can sequentially start to unfold the membrane once those pins are pulled out of the way.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck on the launch. I'm very excited.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's get a live launch status update from NASA commentator Rob Navius at the launch site. Rob, how are things in Kourou?
Merry Christmas, Sargareth.
Well, thank you, Michelle, and Merry Christmas from the Jupiter Control Center here in Kourou, French Guiana. You are looking live at an Ariane 5 rocket on its launch pad, ready to send the James Webb Space Telescope on the initial phase of its journey. The fueling of the Ariane 5's first and upper stages began before sunrise, and in the last few minutes, mission controllers here in Kourou and at the telescope's control center at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore conducted polls, with all positions reporting they are go to proceed into the final phase of the countdown. Launch controllers have been monitoring weather conditions throughout the night, keeping tabs on clouds and wind speeds, both at ground level and in the flight path of the Ariane 5, ensuring that all of the precise commit criteria are acceptable for launch. Right now, we have a green board, no issues as the countdown proceeds, no issues again being tracked by the flight control team here in Kourou. By the way, our broadcast today is a collaborative effort between NASA and the European Space Agency. So that's it from now from the Ariane 5 mission control here in Kourou. We'll be back with you soon. For now, let's go back to the Goddard Space Flight Center and Michelle Fowler.
Thank you very much, Rob. So Webb asks big science questions. It demonstrates astounding technology. It inspires and excites people to dream.
Catch up to
and a spark of inspiration is the ignition of creativity. Kids all over the world have a natural affinity for Webb's big pursuits. And now we have a collection of young artists ready to showcase their work.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Girardi, and this is Delta V, and we're kicking off the
Hey,
Unfold the Universe Challenge with NASA
Kelly!
and the James Webb Space Telescope. NASA is hosting an Unfold the Universe Art Challenge. Use your imagination to share what you believe the Webb Telescope will find.
I believe that the Webb telescope will see galaxies, stars, planets, the moon, and don't forget our star, the sun. Up in the sky, really high, it's space.
Ooh, space. Thanks, Greta. Good job.
This is my picture of space. Hello, my name is Gabriel. I am from Romania. This is how I imagine space.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is a drawing of distant galaxy that can be seen by James Webb Space Telescope.
Hi, my name is Anastasia, and this is what I drew, what I think the telescope will look like, what the telescope will see. I drew the Earth, the Sun, a new planet, a black hole, and stars.
So we've been fielding social media questions from viewers all over the world this morning, and let's take a couple of minutes to share some responses.
So that's a good question, Sargareth. For those who can't see, Sargareth asked why Ariane and not Falcon 9. There's a couple answers to this question. First of all, this is a 25-year project. It has been in planning for a very long time. The decision on what rocket to use was made a very long time ago, and also, so that is one strike against Falcon 9. Falcon 9, even though it's incredibly successful, doesn't have like a huge long history of success. It's mostly like a lot of success in a short period of time. Secondly, to put it bluntly, JWST would not fit in the fairing of Falcon 9. And there is a larger fairing for Falcon 9, but no, it has never been used, and I don't think any have been built yet. The other thing is that this is an international collaborative project, and one of the big contributions from Europe was the launch vehicle. So JWST is launching for free, or Europe's big contribution is the launch. This is a NASA. For if you don't know, this is a NASA, ESA or European Space Agency, and CSA or Canadian Space Agency joint project. Ariane 5 was chosen a long time ago, and then the telescope was built to fit in the Ariane 5 fairing, so long since has not been able to switch between launch vehicles, and honestly, Falcon probably couldn't have done the job without a larger fairing, which they don't currently have. So, yeah, that's the deal.
Here you can observe any object in the sky, and it's a continuous observation.
Well, thank you very much. We'll hopefully come back to a few more questions later.
Thank you.
So this is a big mission with a cast of thousands to bring it to life all over the world. As we get closer to launch, let's take a brief look at the main locations where Webb took shape on its journey to space.
Inside the massive high bay clean room at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, engineers assembled the 18 gold-covered mirror segments into the backplane of the telescope and integrated the 4 science instruments contributed by international partners. To simulate the harsh environment of launch, they went through vibration tests and acoustic tests. And to simulate a space environment, the instruments endured cryogenic testing in a large thermal vacuum chamber. But it wasn't large enough to hold both the instruments and the mirrors, so the telescope boarded a plane to Houston, Texas, to visit the only thermal vacuum chamber in the world big enough to fit the entire assembly. Chamber A at the Johnson Space Center was originally built to test the Apollo spacecraft, and half a century later, it provided a grueling 100-day test for the Webb telescope. Next, the telescope traveled to Northrop Grumman's facilities in Redondo Beach, California to meet up with its other half, the Sunshield and spacecraft bus. Fully assembled at last, the entire observatory went through yet more tests, many focused on making sure the spacecraft could properly fold up for launch and unfold in space. Then in September 2021, Webb caught a ride on a specialized cargo ship and set out on a 16-day voyage to the European Space Agency's spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana. According to its travel itinerary, that's Webb's last port of call on Earth.
Once Webb gets into space, we're going to have some exciting things to tell you about what happens next, from its extraordinary engineering to the thrilling scientific adventure it's about to enable us to undertake. But launch comes first. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Katie Haswell, our host at the launch site, and one of NASA's most recognizable voices, launch commentator Rob Navis. It's all yours, Katie.
Thanks very much indeed, Michelle. Well, it's all looking very good here at the spaceport for a Christmas Day launch. Operations running smoothly, the countdown ticking over nicely. All the systems are green and we are go for launch. You can see there we're looking at launch pad number 3, the James Webb Space Telescope, inside the very top of the rocket in first class with its seatbelt on, waiting patiently for liftoff. That's scheduled in about 32 minutes' time. I'm in the Mission Control Center here at the spaceport, the nerve center of operations. We're about 10 kilometers from that pad, and behind me you can see it's a laser focus here in the control center with the mission control centers all on console there as we get closer to launch. We call this the fishbowl behind this protected glass. And up in their skybox here in Mission Control are NASA's Rob Navius and the European Space Agency's Luce Fabregat, and they're standing by to take over the commentary about 15 minutes as we get closer to launch. First of all, though, let's check in on the countdown and let's see how things are progressing with Stefan Israel. Stefan is the CEO of Arianespace. Arianespace is the company responsible for getting our telescope into space today. Stefan, thanks for joining us. No pressure.
Good morning, Katie.
How are things looking?
So we are now 31 minutes before liftoff. So far, so good. Ariane 5 is ready. Webb is ready. The range is ready. And the weather is green.
Well, that's good to hear. So what can we expect to see? What's going to happen?
Yes, so in the 30 coming minutes, we will make the final operations. 10 minutes before liftoff, we will have the final authorization of the weather. And 7 minutes before liftoff, we will enter in the famous synchronized sequence.
And, I mean, how's everyone feeling? I'm guessing everyone's...
We launched for humanity this morning from the Arianespace Center. You know what Webb is about? After Webb, we will never see the skies in quite the same way.
It's an important project, isn't it, for everybody?
It's a very special mission, but we have delivered already 111 times with Ariane. This is the 112 Ariane 5, so we will deliver this morning.
And everybody there in the control center, cool, calm and collected. Stefan, thank you very much for having taken time to step out of the fishbowl for us, so you can head back now into the fishbowl and take up your position. Stefan Israel, thank you very much indeed. Stefan, of course, heads up what we call the flight desk, which is the authority that takes all the final decisions in the event of unplanned situations. Now, we are in French Guiana. We're on the northeastern coast of South America. We're in Amazonia. It's hot. It can get a little bit sweaty sometimes, and there are lots
not
and
hot
lots
here
of
in Canada, I have to
but
tell
somebody
you.
who knows it very, very well is Raphael Chevrier. Raphael is a rocket science.
I will take one moment to complain about the weather. It is currently minus 32 degrees Celsius. With the wind chill this morning, which is minus 26 Fahrenheit. So, yeah, she's a bit of a chilly morning.
And of course, it is in the jungle. And yet it is actually the European spaceport. So what makes this location in South America so important and so relevant?
Well, there are several reasons for this. First, we are on the coast. It means that we can launch over the sea from north to east without having to fly over inhabited area. So this is very convenient to reach any kind of orbit. There is no hurricane here, big tropical storm, there is no earthquake, but more importantly, we are very close to the equator, so that we can benefit from what we call the slingshot effect given by the rotation of the Earth. So let me take this globe. Basically, here on the equator, we are all traveling at roughly 1,000 miles per hour. That's very convenient. Of course, we don't feel it. If we were on the poles, that speed would be very, very close to zero. It means that when Webb is right now on the launch pad, inside the fairing of the Ariane 5, it's already traveling in the right direction, and we can use this extra boost to get us into space. That's also very convenient for Webb, because doing so, it can save its fuel and increase its operational life in orbit at 1.5 million kilometers from here.
And that really is important, 1 million miles, isn't it? And so there's a real proper slingshot effect. Yeah. And the facilities here are ultra high-tech, and that's exactly what Webb needs, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very convenient for Webb. It's also located in a nature reserve. So this is the perfect meeting between nature and technology, and people come from all over the world to work here. But one thing that's been very important for Webb is cleanliness. Because you know that one speck of dust could alter the vision of the observatory in space. That's why we have been extremely careful in keeping a pristine environment in all our facilities, from Webb's arrival in French Guiana to sealing it inside the rocket.
So let's talk a little bit now about the Webb Space Telescope. I really don't think you need me to tell you that it is the product of a feat of human ingenuity. And you don't get to make a telescope as complex as the James Webb telescope and as remarkable without tremendous amount of collaboration. And the James Webb Space Telescope is indeed the product of a partnership between 3 space agencies who came together to create it, NASA, the European Space Agency, and also the Canadian Space Agency. So here to talk about that now is Greg Robinson from NASA. Greg, thank you very much for coming to the floor, out of the fishbowl as well for us. And we're talking serious teamwork here, aren't we?
Yes, Katie. We've benefited from an amazing partnership with the Canadian Space Agency and the European Space Agency. Over the life of the development, we've had more than 10,000 people actually touch Webb, 29 states in the U.S. and 14 countries across the globe. And not to mention the amazing industrial base across the globe that have benefited here. In order to do bold missions like this, it takes lots of resources and lots of expertise, so we maximize everyone's expertise.
And how did this bold mission get onto an Ariane 5 European launcher?
So as part of the partnership, the Canadian Space Agency contributed science instruments, and they're incredibly important for this mission. And so did ESA, science instruments, and the amazing Ariane 5 that we will see take us on this journey and put us in the right direction to get to Lagrange Point 2. And we're looking forward to that.
It's a tremendous atmosphere here, isn't it, in the Mission Control Center? There's a real buzz here today. I wonder how you must be feeling, Greg. I mean, it's got to be a very, very emotional time knowing that your telescope is sitting there on top of the rocket, getting closer to launch.
It's certainly amazing. I often talk about the butterflies, and people keep asking me, have they started? Have they started? And yes, they're starting. And when we get to about 20 minutes out, they will start flying a lot. So
well,
the excitement is just amazing.
The excitement is building, and of course everyone very cool, calm and collected. Thank you, Greg Robinson. You can take your position back in the fishbowl now, because I know you've got a lot of work to do in there. Greg Robinson, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So the Ariane 5 launch vehicle is the heaviest lifter in the Ariane 5 in the Ariane family of launchers. And Raphael, she has got an incredible track record, hasn't she, of success?
Yeah, this is a very reliable and successful rocket. Webb is going to be the 112th Ariane 5 to be launched. And the very first Ariane, the Ariane 1, took off exactly 42 years ago. Yesterday, this was on Christmas Eve, 1979. Good symbol.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to get a good Christmas present today as well. And, I mean, the rocket is also, you don't get to build a rocket like this without collaboration either, do you?
Of course, just like Webb, actually. In fact, 12 different countries have been participating in the development of the Ariane 5, with Ariane Group now being the industrial prime.
And we have a scale model right next to you, Raphael. Why don't you talk us through it? The rocket is made of sections, and we often call those stages, which is what you might hear during the commentary.
Exactly. So first you have the two